I'm Karina Tech, author of Scolio-Pilates, and we're going to go over how to wedge for a 3-curve scoliosis. We're going to start here with the drawing of a 3-curve. If you need more information about a 3-curve, check that video out on our YouTube channel. So with a 3-curve, you have a primary curve, and we often see that primary curve in the mid-back or low back. So for this drawing, we'll put it on for the mid-back, and this is going to be a back view. So this is your back. And I'm going to grab my other marker. This one seems a little wimpy. So our primary curve for this drawing we'll put in the mid-back. And then you'll have 2 compensating curves to go with that. You'll have a curve that goes up to the head. That means you look at me with your eyes level as opposed to over here. That's why that curve is useful. And then we have another curve here in the low back. So this is low or lumbar. This is mid or thoracic. This is neck or cervical. Here we have your pelvis. I'm just going to draw this shape. I think it looks like a molar. And then from there, the hips are going to stay in the direction of the lumbar curve. This curve can absolutely be reversed and be on the other side. However, it is most common that it is in this direction, and nobody knows why. So we have a neck curve on the left, we have a thoracic or mid-back curve on the right, and then a compensating curve in the lumbar or the low back. On our skeleton, it looks like this. So we have the pelvis, of course. We have the primary curve here in the thoracic, moving to the right. We have a curve in the lumbar, and we have a curve in the neck. Let me go ahead and show you how we're going to wedge for this now. Okay, so picking up from where we left off with the 3-curve, we want to show you now how to wedge for a 3-curve. We have several videos about this actually on YouTube, but let's go ahead and consolidate it all into one video. 3-curve is easy for me to demonstrate because it's my curve. So my pelvis likes to slide to the left. When I look in the mirror, it's off to the left a little bit. It's the hip that I would carry groceries on. Left lumbar, right thoracic, and then the C-curve or the cervical curve is right up here. Where the neck meets the head. Okay, so to wedge this curve in supine or on my back, I'm going to first lift the biggest curve. For me, the biggest curve is down here at the lumbar. So I'm going to wedge underneath my left lumbar and a little bit of my left pelvis. For many people though with a 3-curve, the largest curve is up here in the thoracic. So then the big wedge goes up here. So either way, whether you're using a big wedge at the bottom or a big wedge at the top, you're going to have one wedge at the hip, a little bit of the hip, a little bit of the lumbar, and then right here at the thoracic. And that's your basic wedging for supine. So let me show you what it looks like on my back. So I'm going to ask Gus to give me a little space here. As soon as he feels my hair, he'll be out of the way. So I'm going to come down, puppy. Here I come. Here it comes. Here it comes. There we go. Okay, so I'm actually going to keep this small one for underneath my head. When you put a small wedge under your head, use the thick part right here, the fat part, and go underneath the bottom of the skull. So it goes like that. Don't fill in the space under the neck, because if you leave that space open, then it allows the neck to sink towards neutral. If you need to build that space up, then by all means go ahead and pull it underneath if you need support there. Okay, legs a little bit apart. I'm going to wedge underneath my left hip here and underneath my lumbar spine a little bit, so a little bit of each. The small wedge goes over here next to Gus underneath my right thoracic. My right hand goes on my right shoulder. Gus's nose is in the way, otherwise I would lay this arm completely flat against the mat here. But I'm laughing because he's kind of snoring. Alright, so from here my left hand goes down and pushes down. Now the benefit to having Gus's nose here is that a lot of people don't have the range of motion to open that shoulder up, especially if the primary curve or the larger curve is in that mid-back or thoracic. So if you put something underneath that arm, like Gus's nose, then you keep that you keep the shoulder from aching because you've tried to stretch too much too soon. Another way to solve that is by putting the hand on the chest, and then you can just glide open from there. I generally, for my clients though, do still like to support underneath that arm, so that way they have something to push against. Right now I'm pushing against Gus's skull. From here, I'm going to put another wedge right here, not under my hips, not touching my body, but something so I can push my left hand down. So my right arm pushes down, my left arm pushes down. Okay, so that's your wedging in supine. Legs are turned out, big toes are down, so we can force that external rotation like a isometric, not like force it like out here, just open isometrically, keep big toe down. All right, so let's talk about side lying. By the way, if you just watch the C curve and you watch me wedge for C curve, this was comfortable because this is my wedging for 3 curve. That C curve wedging was really, really uncomfortable for me. So if it feels unusual, the wedging to you, and it feels a little bit, then it's probably okay. But if it doesn't feel good, it's probably not good. It probably it's probably not good for you. Okay, so let's talk about side lying. So my thoracic curve is here. So I want the thoracic curve to drop with gravity. So what side am I going to lie this spine on? You got it. On the left. That way gravity can hopefully let this sink down. The added bonus to this position for me for a 3 curve is that my hip wants to go left. If I lay this hip on the left, then the mat pushes the hip to the right. Well, that's perfect, isn't it? So the mat is pushing my hip back towards neutral, and gravity is dropping the spine down. Okay, so let me show this to you. You can use wedges here or not. I'll show you both. So on my left side, I'm going to take my right leg long and I'm going to rest my head on my hand here. Okay. From here, gravity is going to try to bring my spine down to the mat, but it would be good if I gave it a little extra encouragement. So I'm going to drop, drop, drop. And I'm going to pull my right leg as far as I can pull it without letting this release. My left rib comes into my spine because as soon as I lie here, and most of my clients with scoliosis, as soon as they lie on the side, they want to go here. And then so bring that left rib in after you've dropped the left ribs to the mat. Pull the right leg long and teapot arm here. If I want to wedge this, I can wedge underneath my left hip to just encourage it a little further up, a little more towards neutral, and underneath the left armpit. Okay, so that can be your optional wedging here. Teapot arm. And then you can exercise from here. Okay, that's side lying. Let's talk about prone. In prone, again, we talked about this in the C curve. You can use a foam roller underneath the hips. You can use a little step stool that a child might use for brushing his or her teeth. We created this because it makes our job really easy. So as people come and go, we're not trying to do all kinds of crazy wedging, we just have this great option. Okay, your hip bones are going to go here. Whatever hip, let me think about this. So when I was supine, I wedged underneath my left hip. Now that you're prone, you're going to do the opposite. So I'm going to put this underneath my right hip. And then from here, when I was supine on my back, I wedged underneath my right ribs. Now that I'm prone, I'm going to wedge underneath my left ribs. Okay, so notice I'm using different tools in prone than in supine. So the small wedge here underneath my ribs. He's pretty cute, you have to say. He can be pretty grouchy sometimes, but he's a pretty cute guy. All right, so from here, he's like his mama. Okay, so underneath the right hip and underneath the left ribs. And I'm gonna rest my forehead on my fingertips here. Oops. And I'm gonna elongate the spine here. My knees are apart, my heels are together. With the spine elongated and derotated with the wedges, now I have a great place to begin exercising, to begin moving the spine to strengthen that neutral position. One additional wedge you might want to add is underneath the right armpit here. And actually for me, it would be the large one. So I'm going to use the large one underneath my right armpit. And I'm doing that because the right shoulder, just like in every other position, wants to roll and drop forward. I don't know if you can see that, but it wants to go there, and so I put that there and it brings it back. And then from here I can do some small exercises, especially breathing. I can't emphasize that once you move the spine towards neutral, that breathing is really, really important. One quick note. If you're not using this, if you're using a child's stool or you're using the foam roller to place the hips on, because you don't have this wedge here to lift the spine up towards neutral, be extra sure that the spine doesn't sway towards the floor, okay? So that it doesn't start solid here and then drop like a swoop towards the floor here. Keep it lifted. If you have to put pillows or wedges or something under there, don't let the spine do that. Okay. If you have scoliosis, you can get your life back. Get outside, even go surfing. If you have scoliosis, you can do the really fun things that you love without pain, like hug a tree, even climb a tree. Hippocrates says that nature itself is the best physician. Get outside, go for a walk. Your very own Scolio puppy will thank you, and you'll be happy. I'm Karina Tech, Scolio girl. I've spent my fair share of time learning to deal with my own scoliosis. And a big thank you to John for recording our videos for us. And from Scolio Puppy and me, we say bye, and we hope to see you soon. Take care.